Learning test automation completely for free is definitely possible. And I've done that about a decade ago. When I was sick of doing manual testing over and over again and again, I decided to learn test automation just like you, from the YouTube videos just like this one. And I've already helped thousands of people just like this girl, that guy, and all of these people to become a QA automation engineer from scratch. And today, I will help you to learn it completely for free without even paying a single dollar. Unless you're from Germany, because they have the highest electricity prices in the world, and you'll probably pay something around $1. But anyways, if you don't know me yet, let me quickly introduce myself, and then we're gonna get started. My name is Sergey Kromchenko, and I'm a software QA engineer, lead manager, and a senior engineering manager of SDET in the past, but these days, I'm helping people like you to become a QA engineer from scratch or to improve your existing skills. Now, let's get started. If you want to become a QA automation engineer, you still need to know manual testing. You cannot simply learn test automation without knowing what to test and how to test. So let's first go through the things that you do need to know in manual testing in order to become a test automation engineer. So first of all, SDLC, such as software development lifecycle, and also STLC, such as software testing lifecycle. Those are the basics of the QA, and definitely methodologies. Then test design techniques and writing test cases effectively. You're going to be working with test cases quite a lot, and those are simple instructions on how to test software. Then you're going to be working with the bug reporting, defect tracking, and issue management, and all of that can be combined to Jira, which is the most popular bug tracking and a project management system in the world. There are definitely different ones such as Trello or Asana, but Jira is still number one. Hands-on web, mobile, and API automation. If you would like to know how to automate testing, such as UI or API, you do first have to know how to do that manually. And fifth, mastering QA tools and building structured test thinking. I would start with the tools such as Postman. That is the most popular API testing tool in the world. And by the way, I do have a video available for you, and you can find a link for it right below this one. Okay, now let's get into test automation, because there are so many different things that you have to learn or you might have to learn. And let me tell you from my decade of experience what I would learn if I would start from scratch. So programming languages, and everything you see here is ordered in the order of priority in my opinion. And JavaScript and TypeScript are the best picks in my opinion at the moment. Why so? Well, JavaScript has been the most popular programming language in the world for the last decade. And TypeScript, on the other hand, is a superset of it, or syntactic superset, which simply means that, hey, there was JavaScript before, and on the top of it, they have added some syntaxes. So TypeScript is using JavaScript, and it's just an additional syntaxes on the top. That's what TypeScript pretty much is. But both of those are very popular options right now, and I would definitely start with it. Python would be my second pick. Python is the second most popular language in the programming language in the world. Sometimes it surpasses JS, sometimes not, but mostly JS is the first one. Python did become especially important in the era of AI and data analytics. Python is probably the easiest aside of Ruby programming language in the world. While JS and TS are also easy, fairly easy, Python is probably much easier. But since those are the first two and JS is most popular one, that's why I usually go with it. And honestly, for my opinion, out of, I don't remember, 8 to 10 companies I worked for, about 80% have been using JavaScript, and only one of them used Python and one of them used C# in the past. Third programming language and third, probably world's most popular language is Java. It's heavier than JS and TS. It's a bit more structured. That's why it's not as easy for newbies to start with as JavaScript and Python. But Java is still pretty popular one in the world of backend these days, although newer startups mostly choosing scripting languages that it's much easier to start with quickly. C# is pretty much a cousin of Java. I would say those are same levels with a little different flavor. And Ruby is the most easiest language in the world to learn for beginners. It's pretty much a human language. As far as I remember, the Japanese guy took a look at all of the languages that existed, programming languages that existed in the world during that time, and he was like, why do we make it so complicated? Why shouldn't we just use human language? And then he created Ruby. Actually, you know what? Before we move on, the place that I would recommend you guys to learn these languages, the very first one would be codecademy.com. Codecademy has free versions and they have paid versions. It's not a paid advertisement. I simply used Codecademy myself when I was learning programming on my own and test automation. You can use paid version when you feel like the free version is not enough. And then you can also proceed to freecodecamp.org. That website is amazing. Although the learning curve is much sharper, it's going to be much more challenging for you to learn from there. I'm glad you're enjoying this video, and I just wanted to share that it's not that easy for everyone to learn test automation completely from scratch on your own. And if it's not that easy for you and you need a little push, a little guidance from the professional mentors who've done it thousands of times already, I'm running QA Test Automation Introduction Week every few weeks, where you get to spend a whole week or 3 webinars with me and our mentors, aside of watching video instructions how to do it, so you could set up your test automation framework completely from scratch, step by step, and write your first ever UI or even API tests. And if you are interested, I'm going to leave a link right below this video. Now, let's continue. Frameworks. Framework is the main piece of the test automation because it's pretty much a hammer in your hand. Programming language would be your actual hand that you have because you're going to have to write the code, and framework is a tool that you're going to be using to do so. And Playwright is the fastest growing test automation tool in the world as of now. It has surpassed both Cypress and Selenium by the amount of downloads, not yet by the amount of jobs, although it's becoming one quickly. It have almost surpassed Cypress by the amount of jobs as of now, almost, but not there yet. And since Selenium is the oldest one, it still has the most jobs on the market. But while Selenium amount of jobs are slowing down on Selenium because majority of startups are starting their test automation frameworks with the newest and the trendiest tool, which is a Playwright. Cypress is right behind it. Cypress has been the most trendy one for the last few years. That's why it has quite a few jobs on the market still. It's very popular between developers because of its easy syntaxes to use. I mean, developers and programmers are lazy people who like to automate things. And Cypress definitely is I would call it an iPhone in the world of test automation. And Playwright would be an Android because it's so configurable. You can do so many things with it, but Cypress is all about simplicity. That's why devs love it, and a lot of QA companies are still using it. Selenium. Selenium is probably one of the oldest test automation frameworks in the world. It has been running for a few decades already, and it's still popular, I would say, in not old, but older companies where the framework has been existing for ages and they have thousands of tests, and they have simply no reason to switch to Playwright or Cypress because they have thousands of tests in Selenium. Although it's a little older than the most trendy Playwright and Cypress because they have completely new architecture, while Selenium has been developed quite a few years ago, although it's still getting some updates. Robot Framework is still also a popular option, mostly in the world of Python. And WebDriver IO is option number 5. It has less usage than other ones, but it has its own benefits. WDIO is the one that can, with the same syntaxes, you can write tests for your UI and the mobile automation. So same framework can be used for both by integrating it with Appium, which is an automation framework for mobile devices. So WDIO has its own benefits, and that's why it's still used in quite a few places. But once again, in our course, we have been teaching Cypress for a while, and now we're switching to Playwright because Playwright is taking a lead on the amount of downloads and usage lately. That's why so. All right, let's move forward to repositories and version control. I did specify version control, although I didn't put that option right here. Number 6 could have been Git, but version control is pretty much a version control for your code. Whenever you write code, you need to remember somehow certain stages of it. For example, yesterday was, I don't know, April 28th, and your code as of April 28th looked like that. So version control does help you to keep different versions of your code. And Git, I didn't specify it here, Git is holding 95% of the world's market share of version control. So I didn't even put any other options here at all because you guys should learn Git only. Alrighty, let's talk about repositories. Repositories are pretty much places where you would keep your code, just like a Google Drive for photos. Cloud repositories such as GitHub, GitLab, and other ones are the places where you would store your code. And GitHub is the most popular one in the world. It has been purchased by Microsoft in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And now Microsoft runs and develops GitHub. And now it's not only a GitHub repository, it's actually an entire platform for web development with a lot of tools that you will see in section number 5 as well. But the second most popular one, GitLab, and then Bitbucket, Azure DevOps repos, AWS Code Commit, etc. So there are quite a few of them, but if I would start from scratch, I would go with the most popular ones that you guys see on the first spots everywhere, and GitHub would definitely be the one. That's the one that we actually teach in our bootcamp. By the way, majority of you guys and our students were not born in English-speaking countries, in the same way I wasn't. And quite a few of them have already asked me to help them to improve their English. And what I did specifically for you and all of them, I've opened up a new YouTube channel dedicated to learning and improving your English, reducing your accent, and improving your articulation. And you can check out those videos right there. And make sure to like this video and all of those as well. Let's continue. Number 5, CI/CD, or continuous integration, continuous delivery. What is it? Well, whenever you write your automated tests, right? You have to run them somewhere. You can run them on your computer, or you can run them somewhere in the cloud where you don't have to worry about the size and the GPU of your or processor of your computer. GitHub Actions is pretty much an automation bot. It helps you to automate your runs. For example, whenever you finish writing your test, it will automatically run all of the tests that you have in your suite, let's call it that way, or repository, automatically. So that's what CI/CD is for the QA engineers. If you're interested to learn more deeply about CI/CD, I'm going to leave a link right here where you will see what CI/CD is in a simple words. And here are the actual softwares for the CI/CD that you can use. GitHub Actions. Once again, GitHub, owned by Microsoft, and GitHub Actions is one of the quite a few tools on the platform of the GitHub that you can use. It's very convenient. I would say it's one of the most convenient ones in the world because it's directly located in the GitHub. So you have your code there and your code runs there. Very convenient. GitLab does the same thing. As you can see, they do have their own repository and they do have their own CI/CD. So that's why it's also a popular choice. Although GitHub Actions is the one that I would recommend you guys to learn if you would like to become a key automation engineer on your own. And I do have a video for that as well. Jenkins is, I would say, between all of these, is probably the oldest one. People are still using it, but I would probably compare it with the Java and Selenium. It's still used in quite a few places, and actually, usually, they're all packed into one thing, Java, Selenium, and Jenkins, just because those are a little older technologies that have been used for a while, and people are still using them and not moving forward to something newer, like Circle CI, for example. I did use Circle CI with one of the startups I worked with, and then I've moved them upgraded them to use GitHub Actions because that was more convenient and efficient in terms of payment plans and also user interface. And Azure, which is, by the way, you can see right here, Azure DevOps repos and Azure DevOps pipelines, is owned by Microsoft as well. So number 1 and number 4 are owned by Microsoft. And here, same thing. Number 1 and number 5 are also owned by Microsoft. And cloud technologies are pretty much sets of tools or technologies that you can use without even downloading them, just like any websites you go to. AWS, Azure, and GCP, those three, let's talk about those. If you ever need to run your website or your automated tests on some server, you can rent it out for cents or pennies from AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, from Azure, which is Microsoft Azure, or GCP, aka Google Cloud Platform or Google Computing Platform. So those are pretty much websites where you can rent any type of servers and do any sort of things with them to set up your database, to set up your API server, etc. Mostly it's used by developers or senior QA automation engineers, or SDETs, whenever you're working on the infrastructure related to your automation testing. And I've also added 3 different ones, and those are actually also cloud technologies, but for different purposes: Lambda Test, Browser Stack, and Sauce Labs. Those are the most popular ones in the world of cloud tech for testing. Whenever you need to run your tests simultaneously on a different, let's say, mobile devices, you could use one of those websites, pay them money, and they would run your tests automatically on the farm, on the phone farm, as they call it, where they have hundreds or thousands of devices, and you can actually pay them and run your tests on all of them and get reports simultaneously. All right, now let's talk about the main one. When you learn all of that on your own, you might feel like you are not ready to land the job. The secret is you will never be ready until you start going through interviews. So, advice number 1 to land your job: start going through interviews, but just FYI, you'll be failing, and that's completely fine. The more you fail, the more you learn, just like in a business. Number 2, you will need some practice. Nowadays, it is very challenging to get an internship, to get a job, or especially job, but even in an internship without any experience. So if you feel like, if you go through quite a few interviews, or you don't get any interviews for a while, it means you need experience. Your resume is not up to date. If you do need experience, you can get it in a few ways. Way number 1, to look for a free internship, which means you message companies, the startups that you find that you like, that you enjoy, or maybe people you know who own or run startups. And you ask them, hey, is there a way for me to become an QA intern and help you guys with the test automation completely for free so I could get practice and you could get actual value? Way number 1. Way number 2 is just keep applying and going for QA meetups or any sort of tech meetups. One of our YouTube subscribers, the girl who you can see on the right corner of my screen right now, she did go to a few meetups and she actually found the QA internship through there. And the biggest secret that you guys should know, but I can give you 99% that you will not do it, because majority of people are simply lazy or just don't have time. Or they don't have time because it's just a way to explain why they're not applying for a job in such a way. The last one and the best one is you have to show what you can do before you even apply for a job. Whenever you are applying for a job like everyone else, you're sending your resume, you are just one of hundreds or thousands, and you could potentially get picked, but most likely not. If you will show your value in a certain way, maybe you will create some portfolio, maybe you'll do something else for the company and you will let them know that, hey, I've done a job for you. If you would like to check it out, or if you enjoy it, if you like it, and if you would like to talk to me about potential employment, I would be more than glad to do so. I will not tell you exactly what to do because there are quite a few things that you guys can do. But you let me know in a comment below, what would you do, or what do you think you could do to land such a job? And if you guys are interested in me showing you a video, not only the roadmap, but actual video of everything in one shot for probably 3 to 5 hours, leave a comment below saying create complete automation course. And if we get about 100 of those comments, I will record a free course for you and put it on the YouTube for 3 to 5 hours, where you will learn all of these, where you will learn JavaScript and Playwright and GitHub Actions, and possibly even some of the cloud technologies. You let me know. Now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.